your product or app launched and you're ecstatic, but what happens next? Today, we are looking at what that journey looks like after your launch, because your work is far from done. So, hi, everyone. I'm Tessa with the Idea Pros marketing team. And actually, before I get Fred in, I just want to say hi to you guys, because we had people in here for like 15 minutes before we started. So I'm so excited. Thank you guys all for coming. Aziza, I saw you popped in and asked a bunch of questions already. I'm excited about sharing those, getting Fred to check those out and give you some answers. We also have Greg Lake. Thank you so much. And a whole bunch of people still coming in. I see them slowly coming up. So when you get in, please do let me know where you're watching us from, just so I can see that you're in here with me. I can't see anything until you comment. So just let me know where you're watching us from. Hi, Stephanie. Hi, Susan. Thank you so much. And Aziza, Stephanie, I actually saw you on way early too, so thank you for popping in. This is a really fun topic actually, because in Fred's true form, he's going to fly through and give you guys the high level version of what happens after you launch your product, because a lot of people need to see what's at the end of the tunnel in order to understand what's going to happen next. So Mary, Calvin, great. Thank you guys. We have some people watching us from YouTube. Thank you. Definitely you guys can watch us over there as well. We have Rom, Ruben, Lawrence. Thank you guys. Fred's going to be here in a moment. Derek, nice to have you.
Not.
Yep. Oh, see, he's here. Hold on just one second. I will get him up on the screen.
Hey, everybody.
Yes,
Hello.
This is Fred Carey, who is co-founder and executive chairman of Idea Pros, and the genius behind so many of the products that are going to market right now, and are the partners that are pondering what's next for them. So Fred is going to, oh gosh, guys, thank you so much for all the comments on the side. I will come back and I'm going to mention you guys in a little bit. I want to get Fred going though, because he literally has a shopping list of topics he wants to go over with you guys. So we talked about in the email, if you guys saw this, and in the post, that we're going to cover a lot of areas: pre-sales, licensing and direct sales, crowdfunding, affiliate sales, and influencers and trade shows. Now we just added that one to the list as well. So Fred, can you kind of give us an overview of well, first of all, why you think it's important for us to look at this?
Yeah, this really was inspired by a couple of different factors. Number one, we have several different projects that are now going live. And I'm working closely with a lot of those people that are in that position. In fact, Steve Brown got an apartment here for a month with his Eclipse sunscreen, and he's sitting in the other room. He comes every day and tries to work through the processes. We have several things going on with him. And Aziza and I have been suffering through the New Year's holidays in China, and then all the issues there, and trying to figure out whether or not we have to roll up our sleeves and go find someplace else to temporarily produce. But that's all working out. But it really led me to start thinking about launching is just the beginning. And as hard as it is, I mean, it's incredibly hard to get there and to launch. What happens afterwards is even harder. And so I think that it's something that we should all be aware of. We should all be thinking about. We should think about it from the very beginning of when we decide to become an entrepreneur. And it really was inspired by that. And also this fellow with a company called Launch Boom that we're going to be working with. They're right out of San Diego as well. And they do, they do a lot of crowdfunding, and we're going to be able to utilize their services with our partners, any partners who elect to do that. There's this company, we have another company in the East Coast, both of them very, very large. They've, between the two of them, probably raised $250 million in crowdfunding. But he told me this story that was kind of interesting to me, and I thought that we better get talking about all these things besides going out and doing your initial launch. And he said there are so many of the people that he brought out there that have raised $1 million, $2 million, $500,000 that don't know what to do now. And he wants to send them all back to me. Here they are, companies with sales, with staff, and they still don't know what their next steps are. And so If you know me, if you've been here and watched a typical day in our life, you know I don't have time to do that. So my time is better spent educating all of you on the things that need to be done, whether you work for us as your partner, or with us as your partner, or whether you are an entrepreneur working on your own. So that's what this show is all about.
So we'll dive into pre-sales first, because that was the one that we wanted to start out with, because it is really one of the first steps after launching, right? So what does that look like when you're pre-sale, you've launched your product and go to pre-sale?
Right. So you have two things you can do when you get to the point where you have a manufacturer, you know what your minimum order quantity is, and you're ready to start making sales. You can take a leap of faith. You can get an SBA loan. You can take all that money that you got from your inheritance and go spend $50,000, $100,000, whatever it's going to take to get those initial orders. Or you can, just like with crowdfunding, you can rely on others to fund you so that you can make those things happen. So in order to establish pre-orders, and we haven't talked about them for a long time, but Harry's Razors is always a great example to look at. They got something like 1 million email addresses, 100,000 in 1 week alone. And they were able to utilize those people who signed up in order to be able to fund their products so that they could pay for it. So you're using money, other people's money that have an interest in your product, to go ahead and pay for it. So the first thing you need for pre-sales is patience, because you don't know how long it's going to take. And if it takes longer than you expect, it's not because Idea Pros is doing a bad job, or if you're by yourself, it's not because you're doing a bad job. It's because you don't have the momentum yet. You don't have the number of people that have signed up yet. So you need to keep looking. Why aren't we having enough people? What do we need to do to get more? Can I piggyback on somebody else and see if we can find some way to partner to make sure that I have the breadth of folks that I need in order to make a pre-sale successful? You can't just say, hey, I'm pre-selling my product. You want to have 10,000 people, 50,000 people, even more, all lined up that are interested in looking at what you have. So patience and consistency and determination are the big things that you need to have to really build up that portfolio to make that happen.
Yeah, and you also need some place to do the pre-sale. So we're going to do, like I said, this is the high level. We're going to fly by,
Yeah.
and then we're going to go into depth on each of these. So there will be a show about pre-sales and what that looks like, and the website piece and the ordering piece, all of that.
Yeah.
So more to come on that, but that is one of the options, is
Right.
to get your stuff out there to pre-sales. So the next thing that we wanted to discuss that was on our list, Fred, was licensing and direct sales together, because they kind of go together. So I'll let you explain that.
Yeah, a few weeks back, we announced a strategic alliance with a company called Edison Nation. And Edison Nation does a lot of licensing deals and a lot of distribution deals, and they're going to be doing a lot of them with us. We now have the first two are all ready to be signed. Aziza, I'm going to need you a little bit later to sign yours, and Preeti, and it's a process. It's something that I've said before. There are those invention companies out there that basically tell you, come on board, we're going to get you a patent and a licensing deal. Well, those things don't work. You're not going to get a licensing deal. Your patent doesn't mean anything, because you don't even know whether it's manufacturable. It hasn't been engineered. You don't know if it is manufacturable, if it's manufacturable at a good cost so you can actually sell it. And most importantly, you don't even know if there's a market for it. So those type of companies that say, sit on your butt. Sorry, this is actually one of the people that know that I'm on this show every week. I'm going to have to block him. But in any event, the type of people that promise you things like that are not going to deliver. So if you want to have a licensing deal, it's the same thing as if you want a distribution deal. You have to go through all the hard work. You have to get to the point where you're doing pre-sales, where you're getting interest, and then you have something that you can go to a larger company with and ask them to distribute for you, or ask them if they're interested in a licensing deal. You should always use an expert when you do that, because there are folks out there that really have the relationships, they know people. We're gathering more and more of those experts all the time to even help us. And we have a lot of deep relationships. So it's something you can't do on your own, but you certainly can't do it without having all of the work already done as far as I'm ready to go to market and I need my next step. Now, in the case of somebody like the folks that we just partnered with for a distribution deal, they're going to write a check for the first amount of money that's needed to have that first order come in and all the shipping and storage and everything. So we don't need to worry about pre-sales in a situation like that. So that's another alternative for you.
But they have been building their base, right? So there's a lot of proof that
Oh,
you
yeah.
can go into for that to work. So
Yeah. If I give somebody a distribution deal and I let them know that, oh, by the way, we happen to have 50,000 people that are already interested in this product and we're happy to turn them on to you, then that makes that decision pretty easy for somebody who's a distributor.
and you mentioned that you guys are going to a licensing event here soon, right? So
I don't, let me see if I can, no, I don't even know the date on it, but
that's
it's,
okay. We will let everybody know. But you did mention that you wanted to bring that up
yeah,
to
yeah,
everyone.
a major licensing event. We're going to have a booth there. There's something like 16,000 people attend this event. All the biggest companies are there as well. We're going to have an Idea Pros booth there and feature some things. But if any of our partners want to piggyback on it, and they're going to have to pay their piece for it, but we can get you set up in our own booth, and we can do 2 or 3 different types of licensing, including any of your products. This licensing thing is really part of a whole trade show type of mentality that really is something good. That it's on our list. I don't know
It
where.
is. I'm going to go ahead and put it up for you because you might as well go. Just know that we didn't do direct sales, which is part of that licensing. So we might tack that on at the end for about,
Yeah,
Amazon and everything. But trade shows, this is really exciting because we had a lot of partners that had big success.
yeah. So we had Fritz Toffee go to 2 trade shows in a row and 3-day shows. First day they sold out all of their product line, even though they brought a lot more the second time around. Made a ton of contacts. With any one of these products, if you're a small entrepreneur, it's all about relationships and contacts. And when you go to shows like this, for Fritz, for example, tons of distributors, tons of wholesalers, resorts that want to bring products like that into their facilities. Um, and it's a real opportunity to take a limited budget and to meet a whole lot of people that are very instrumental to that sector that you want to be in. And so those things are amazing. So we had Fritz go out and do it. And then we had our Caddy product, which is a accessory device for golf. He went out and had a great 3 days. We even sent a couple of our business development guys because it was in Florida and a couple of our guys live out there. So I had them go out and help him out. And it was a great show, tons of contacts. Again, contacts from wholesalers. On his particular product, you can fit what's called a divot tool in that. And one of the biggest divot tool companies in the world is now talking to him about incorporating his product into theirs and vice versa. So that's a really good way to go out with limited resources and let yourself be known. And finally, Ken, who has Crashpad, and you can see that still on the launch pad, he's in the middle of a trade show right now in a boating show. And from what I understand, he's doing quite well there. So roll up your sleeves, get to where the people are that can help you. It's not like you're this big, huge company that's going to go knock on the doors of a Walmart and Target and everything all by yourself. It's all about connections, and trade shows is a great place to get them.
And we will have a whole show about that because I told Fred, these are great, but they have to be like individual topics so we can
Right.
explain all this. But there is a strategy to trade shows. It's not only about what you put up, it's about how you're marketing you and how you're getting out there and networking with people and how what you do with the leads afterwards. So all partners who are going to shows, you gotta wait. You have to have a way to follow up with your leads. You can't just grab them and then stack them in a pile. Okay. So we will go over that though more when we do the trade show. And then now, because I know we're on a time schedule, so I'm keeping Fred to this, the topic of crowdfunding, which is a big one that we get questions about. That one's another one of the strategies for after you launch, right, Fred?
Right. And it's funny about crowdfunding. It can be so successful. And I talked to you about in the very beginning that even if it doesn't mean anything if you don't have a plan. It's more of a long-term plan of what you're going to do next. If here's some really success, can you imagine you're taking your product out, you raised $1 million, everything's perfect, right? So many of these companies want to talk to me now about what they can do next. Our future partner here in that regard has customers in 41 countries, and a lot of them are clamoring that they don't know what their next step is, right? Very successful launches. So crowdfunding is just a component to get you started. Think of it as really a validation of your product more than anything else. And so if any of our partners want to do that as a resource at the end, it costs money. So see me, talk to me about it. We just pass it on with our partners. We have 2 partners right now. They're the biggest in the world, and they will work with us on special deals. In fact, one of them said that they have a resource for up to $100,000 worth of financing. So anybody wants to go out and do a massive campaign, they can get it all funded too. So it's a really great thing to do. Again, it's something that you are very unlikely to do successfully on your own. About 70% of all crowdfunding campaigns fail, and they fail because it's somebody that just says, wow, I got a great product, I'm going to put it online, and I'm going to just wait for that money to start rolling in. It doesn't happen. You won't be found. It's a very, very strategic enterprise that it takes to do these things and go step by step methodically to get there. Speaking of that, we're just getting ready to do our first crowdfunding event. It's with Genesis Scooters, and you're going to be seeing that on the launch pad shortly. That should be a really big deal for us. The guy who's our partner works with Tesla, and this is an electric scooter that, when I say scooter, I mean like a Vespa type scooter that is really amazing, great mileage and acceleration and storage capacity. And you can take your battery out of the bike really easily and plug it into your wall right next to your work, and in a couple hours you're charged up and ready to go. But it's really cool. You should check it out. And it's going to be, it's not only the best of the best, it's probably the cheapest, and it gets delivered right to your door. So that's going to be our first crowdfunding endeavor. We're going to be doing that with Inventus, which is one of our partners, and they've raised over $175 million in crowdfunding. So they're pretty excited about this one, and so are we.
Can't wait to see that show too. So I love being able to offer all these pieces to our partners and to entrepreneurs who are watching that are not partners too, because all of it is so relevant to you.
Yeah.
So the next thing that we wanted to talk about was affiliate sales. And I think this is a great strategy that a lot of people don't take into consideration or are not taking advantage of.
Well, I have a friend that I kind of hate a little bit because he gets to hang out on a sailboat all day, 365 days a year. And he has that luxury because he started a nutritional company, one of those nutritional protein powder type companies. In 3 years, they did $400 million in sales. 90% of those sales were done through affiliates, not through him, through people that use, if you make a sale, you get 10%, or you get 8%, or you get 15%, whatever deal you make. There are all sorts of affiliate networks, like Share a Sale is one of the biggest ones that have thousands of affiliates on there that want to sell your product. So again, if you're going to go direct and you want to try to do it yourself and sell on Amazon or sell directly online, and by the way, we have an Amazon expert too that can partner with you if you want to go that way. But think about it. If you're selling by yourself, you don't have a big sales force. You can literally have thousands of people selling your product by using one of these affiliate programs and making sure that you get the right partners and making sure that you have the marketing materials to give them. because they need to be relevant, right? So if you have a special, you need to pass it out to all of your affiliates, and each of them get a tag. And so all the transactions go through ShareASale in this particular event. ShareASale gives you your piece and gives the affiliate their piece, and you can track everything all through the process. And you can look at the ones that are performing best and reach out to them and give them special deals and see how you can tighten your partnership with them. But it's all about having that community do a lot of the work that you need to do. You can't go, it's not like a lemonade stand, you're not going to be able to do it all by yourself. Now you have people all over the world, that's all they do. They make their money by selling other people's stuff. And so that's a wonderful resource. Costs a couple $100 to get set up there. It's nothing. And it's a huge resource that, as my sailboat friend will tell you, could be really quite lucrative.
And if you've ever read The 4-Hour Workweek, that is exactly the strategy that they are talking about to make money. So definitely. Oh, but we also wanted to mention the last one on our list to share with you guys for after launch strategies is to use influencers.
Yeah. And so influencers are, it's kind of the same way as using an affiliate. Now, in a sense, an influencer is an affiliate on the basis of what deal you get with them. But they're typically somebody that has a following that really looks at what they do, what they say, where they go, what they're wearing, what they're eating. So that type of influence is more of an indirect influence, whereas an affiliate and ShareASale or something like that may very well have a review site or have a site that mimics what your own site looks like to try to drive their audience. They're not necessarily a personality, but the good ones have a following, because if you're typing up, hey, which is the best new phone I should get? If you look at those reviews, probably 90% of them or more are reviews of affiliates. But when you're following somebody on Instagram or somebody who's on Facebook or LinkedIn, somebody who really has prestige and a following, people are there because of who they are and because of their word, not because of they want to go there to get the best advice as to which product is the best of a series of products. So with an influencer, depending on the size of the influencer, you can do everything from a free lunch to $50,000 for one post or more. So there are this wide range from micro nano influencers to these big multinational influencers, and there's something to be said about the smaller ones too. Number one, you can work with them on a limited budget. Number two, there are companies out there that bring all these little influencers together, and you can go to one spot and put a program together, and you can literally get thousands of them talking about you. Now think about it. Let's suppose we got a tiny little influencer with 10,000 followers. That's nothing, right? There's people out there with millions, tens of millions. Anything less than 1 million followers is pretty small. But let's suppose there's somebody with 10,000 followers. That person typically has a loyal base. That's a lot of people for one person to have. All my daughter and all her friends have 4,000 or 5,000, which is to me because I got like 100. But with 10,000, the people that you talk to are going to listen to you more because there's typically some sort of a relationship. So if you have somebody that has 10,000 followers and you see that every time they post, they get 1,000 likes and 200 comments, and then you can see somebody that has 100,000 followers that may not get any more than that. So you don't necessarily have to go big, but you have to go somewhere. And so if you want to build out your company, you need to look at all of these things. And by the way, these things are not mutually exclusive. There's nothing wrong with doing all of it. In fact, I mentioned Steve, our poster child with Eclipse out in the next room right now. We're looking at 3 different things. We have a company that wants to distribute the product. We have another company that may be interested in taking it over, a big, huge company. We have private investors that want to give him $250,000 to get a small piece of it and do direct sales. And we're marching down all of those roads to see which one is the best. Meanwhile, he's doing daily updates, video updates on his Instagram page to talk about when he's going to go live. And he set a timeline. I think yesterday was 98 days before he goes live. And he's going to post something every single day. So it's a lot of work being an entrepreneur. There's a lot of paths you can take. And the best way to do it is to look at all of them and don't just settle on one. Get some influencers, get some affiliates, get somebody to help you with Amazon, even look at doing pre-sales. All of those things working together will give you the biggest opportunity to find a successful way through it all.
Wow, we had so many great comments over in the side while you were talking about all these, Fred. So I just want to take a second because I know we made it through all of them. I know we're really close to the time being up, but we had a lot of people over on YouTube. Donna Stewart, William Cartwright. I know a couple are popping up over here. We have Odin, Sean Reed, Steve Brown, who actually made it from the other room. Apparently, he's watching. He's watching from the other room. Good job, Steve, for sure, for that, all that work that you're doing. I'm excited, and we'll follow you over there too. But everything, I know we have a lot of questions. Aziza had questions too. And I guess, guys, we're going to have to do it in the individual shows. So if you do have questions, put them in the chat, or you can use the Q&A form on the post to send them to us so we can incorporate them in on those shows that we're going to do on all of these topics.
And Steve, come on in here to show that I'm not kidding. Here, come on in for a second. Say hello to everybody.
Steve, come on in. He's probably like, really? Well, while you're doing that, we had some really exciting things. I know Odin said that every Friday he gets pearls. Guys, we're here every Friday at noon Pacific time. We're also over on YouTube, so you can join the show over there as well. Is he coming? Do you see him yet?
Hey!
Steve, hey, good to see you.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day. Oh, thank you. And thank you guys who put that in the chat. Yes, I'm a Valentine's baby.
So we were working on this PowerPoint last night. I was having whiskey and thoughts at 8 p.m. And you're really kicking ass, man. You're the real deal. Yeah. So this is a good thing to my poster man here. We're doing everything. We're looking at every single avenue and not settling on one, because one thing I learned in life, you don't know if it's going to work or not. So why not go everywhere, right? When I was in my 20s, I'd go take a meeting with a company I wanted to work with. And as soon as they kind of even smiled a little bit, I left and was counting my checks and everything. It doesn't work out that way. It doesn't happen that way. So if you want to be an entrepreneur, do what I told you need to do. You need to be crazy, and you need to go. Just don't give up on anything. Try every avenue. And one of them is going to work. We may have more than one that's going to work for us.
I'm just trying to keep up with you, Fred. So
he says, "Work hard, don't sleep," and I think that's really how Fred is.
He's getting to see what a day in the life of this office is, and it's pretty crazy.
It's busy around here. I mean, the other room is just a beehive of activity. It's unbelievable how well they balance all the different projects that they got on the go. It's truly impressive. And you haven't had an opportunity to come visit Fred and the team down in San Diego here, I certainly suggest that you do so.
It'll definitely change your mind about.
Bring whiskey. If you want Fred to work in the project, you gotta bring a little whiskey.
Yeah.
That's how we get him to work till like 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it.
Oh, thank you, guys. Well, good to see you, Steve. We'll find out. I'm going to follow you and see how your posts are going. We're going to share them out.
I'm just learning. Just bear with me.
You're great. Thank you guys all so much for being here again. See us every Friday at noon Pacific time. We'll catch you guys next week.
Take care. Bye, everyone.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.